I
Okay,
am
we are live.
recording. I'm recording hyper locally, just in case, on Piezo. Even
Okay.
more local than the browser,
Yep.
whatever StreamYard is doing.
Yep. So, hello, YouTube. We
Hello,
are
Hi,
back.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Let's see. All right. It's been, I computed it was 70 days since we did this last. I mean, the audio feed is even further behind. So, any day now. But this time for real.
Yes.
We'll catch up. But it's good to be back. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's okay. Oops. All right. Nobody's putting comments because everybody's decided that we're done. But that's right. All right. I guess I will just start and I'll fix it in post.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
It's October 12th, 2025, and welcome to episode 288 of the Retrocomputing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retro computer news, nostalgia, collecting, loving the 80s, simulating phone lines, cubes, and other things. I'm Paul Hagstrom near Boston. I am joined by two retrocomputing enthusiasts this time. The first of whom is Earl Evans in Portland. How are you?
Hi, Paul. Doing good. Hope you and Quinn are doing well too. It's been a minute since I've been on the show, but it's great to be back.
Yep, good to have you back. And as foreshadowed, we are also joined by Quinn Dunkey in an undisclosed mountain location in British Columbia. How are you?
Yeah. Spoilers. I mean, who's the mystery third guest? It could be anyone of the remaining two people who ever show up for these shows anymore.
Right.
Doing
Shade
great though.
thrown.
Yeah. Yes. No. Doing great. It's great to see Earl, and it's pouring rain out here, so it's an awesome day to be inside podcasting.
Yeah, I've got some rain my way too. What about you, Paul? We didn't talk
A
about
little
the
bit.
weather yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. It just we had a brief resurgence of summer, but it's now starting to get cold again. So anyway, that's the weather report from as the listeners hear it 4 months ago.
Exactly. From three random locations in North America.
Right. Okay, right. So what we've been doing is, at least in this particular run of episodes, we've been trying to kind of like talk about the year that kind of matches the last digits of the episode. This is episode 288, and so the topic would be things of 1988. And so what we usually do is just go through a little list of things that happened in 1988 and riff on those. But I picked a couple of things out of a list. Maybe you have separately made lists. Don't know. I think. Well, okay. So the first thing I wrote down was the next cube. So
That had a little bit of an impact,
it did, yeah.
both at the time and even today.
And actually, it fits in. It fits in fairly well, at least in my mind, with one of the other 1988 things too, which it was Mathematica. So to me, at least, these were both introduced at the same time. I'm not sure if Earl, maybe you know, or well, I'm not sure who put those things in the show notes. Quinn, did you put the things in the show notes about Mathematica?
I did not.
I put a couple things in there.
Okay. I was always sort of under the impression that Mathematica began life as a next application. I'm not sure if that is true. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yes, I believe it did. Yes, actually, now that you say that, that sounds right.
All right, points to me. but
Excellent.
I mean,
well done.
it definitely these things co-occurred in my own experience. That it was I was in college in 1989 to 1993, and we got an Next Lab along the way there. Actually, I guess it was there when I got there, but and I had a math professor who was just a total technology geek, and really loved sort of all the things you could do with computers. Didn't teach that well, but but it was still pretty fun. Actually, the thing I find sort of most amusing about when I think of him is that so it turns out I'm a bit of a legacy in my college. So both my parents went to the same college I went to, and this math professor taught both my parents. And my father had said that this was the reason he did not go on in math.
Wow.
But I don't know, he wasn't that bad.
I mean, it's a type of inspiration if you think about it.
Yeah. But anyway, but Mathematica, we always had Mathematica assignments. We were not only supposed to use Mathematica to solve whatever things we were doing, but it was also sort of part of the assignment to like learn how to program it and so forth. So anyway, so I don't know if we want to talk about Mathematica or if we want to talk more about nexts. I feel like listeners of RCR hear lots about nexts.
You can't talk too much about Next. I do think it's emblematic of a sort of genre or wave of software, of sort of high-end scientific and academic software that came along, kind of co-evolved with the Next. I mean, it all ended up on Windows and other places eventually anyway, but yeah, things like this, and we talk about Interface Builder ad nauseum, and TCL/TK, which which predated the Next, but still it really found its home on the Next. And there's a couple other programs. Smalltalk is another one, which again didn't originate on the Next, but kind of came into its own. So yeah, the Next really, I feel like, supercharged this kind of academic high abstraction level of software that we now very much depend on for many things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I definitely had the impression that, we kept using Mathematica a little bit over the years as it developed a bit in that short span, but it really has. It had the same kind of wonder as the LLMs now, in a sense. It sort of feels like you could just say, like, I would like to know a thing, and it will tell you that thing and show its work.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, or I think of modern engineering software that does things like finite element analysis, so you can just like see the stresses in a bridge, those types of things, which we have more than enough horsepower to do that kind of thing today. In fact, we do it in real time nowadays. But yeah, this was sort of the early window into some of that kind of high-end stuff that we were always told the computers were going to do, and they never seemed to quite manage to be powerful enough to do until they started to get enabled by things like the Next.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw it a couple times during my college years in the early 90s, but I was fascinated by it. I loved high-level mathematics like calculus and that kind of thing, linear algebra. And I thought Mathematica just looked so cool. I never had a class where I got the chance to play around with it a lot, though. It's kind of a bummer, because looking at the couple of links that I put in the show notes, it looks like it was really kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was and is. It's still a staple of academia. My best friend is actually a computer science professor, and she uses it, on a weekly basis to this day. It's still quite critical to a lot of mathematics instruction and visualization and research and such.
Very cool.
Yeah. I never used it for anything real, apart from successfully passing the classes. But
yeah, I've never actually used it myself. It's all a little over my head. I was never had much of a head for math, but it definitely generates neat pictures that I look at that other people did.
Yeah, in this video we're watching, celebrating 35 years of Mathematica, actually on Wolfram's channel, they're demoing it on, I guess it's an SE30, a Macintosh. And I did actually, now that I think about it, I did have a copy of this on my Mac, and I did not pay for it. And I also didn't really use it, so maybe that's all fair.
Yeah, that evens out then. Yeah.
It was probably pretty expensive, right? I mean, I don't know what it cost back then.
Yeah, I'm sure this kind of software is always in the thousands. Yeah,
it's kind of bespoke, sort of, niche scientific software. Seems like it was probably a pretty penny. You might have needed to use Mathematica to actually calculate the license cost of Mathematica.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this This kind of software is always very much they charge what the market will bear, and the market will generally bear quite a lot. As was the Next itself, was priced at what you might call academic pricing levels, which are, sometimes 10x what any kind of consumer would pay for something like that. But yeah.
However, it's grant supported.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, when you've got billion-dollar institutions footing the bill, then nobody blinks at 4 digits on a line item in a research grant.
And I mean, I guess to be fair, it really is performing a function in that context. So
yeah, it definitely has. It has enormous value in that the things that it's doing, there's no other way to do. So in that sense, it's priceless.
And it's actually literally performing a function in the video that you have up there.
But I'm bummed. Earl Evans, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm here all
We'll be
week.
here all week. Yeah.
yeah.
That was a quality math pun.
So, and I guess there was another link, also from Wolfram, this direct on the site, the Mathematica Storia scrapbook. So they're proud of it too.
Very, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, yeah. So I thought it was kind of neat that I was reminded of Mathematica. I hadn't thought much about it until hours ago when we were trying to prepare this episode. But let's see. Another thing that was on the list was the Laser 128. So that's.
Sorry.
I figured I'd get that kind of a response.
Yeah, I love that machine so much. I have such fond memories of it. I didn't realize that was 88. So 88 the 128EX version?
It must have been, because it says release date 1986.
Yeah, I think the original 128 was a little earlier. Yeah, 86. So yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Oh, the EX2 in 88. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I had the EX. Yeah, I had the EX. The EX, which was sort of the one-up of the Apple IIc, and then the EX2 was supposed to be the one-up of the 2C Plus. So it had the 3.5-inch drive and so on. Although apparently it came in a 5.25-inch version also. I see. I never saw that version.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, the EX was, it was an absolutely wonderful machine. 100% compatible. It had a better accelerator than Apple's 2C Plus does. Internal expansion for memory, external expansion slot. I don't know. You've all heard me go on about that machine, but can't help myself. Yeah. It's so good. Honestly, it's the machine I regret selling. It's the one machine that that I miss. I sold it to pay for my GS, but kind of still wish I still had it.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of the 2C Plus, that is accurately 1988.
And I looked it up. It looks like it was the last introduced of the Apple 8-bit computer line.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, so I would have. So the Platinum 2E was before this, I guess.
That's a good question. It's possible that do we count the Platinum as a
maybe
as
not
a new introduction?
Yeah, I don't know if that counts as a new 2E, because it was not really any different than the previous 2Es.
At the bottom of the Apple Wikipedia pages, there's usually this little graph that shows where it lives in the timeline. Yeah. So Apple IIe Platinum looks like 1987.
Oh, okay. So just a bit earlier. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's a neat graph.
Mm-hmm. Huh. The Apple IIe card, does that count? That seems to be later.
Yeah.
I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the 2C Plus on this, though? Oh, there it is. I see it.
Here. Yep.
This is great radio. We're looking at the a screen or a time graph thing on Wikipedia that lists the release dates of all the Apple II models and what their lifespan was. So kind of a neat little chart.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of. I feel like I look at it more than I expected to, just to sort of see how these things relate. Because I mean, like, the idea that the Apple IIc Plus came out after the 2GS always feels a little weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have guessed that, honestly. Yeah, if I had a gun to my head, I might have said earlier. But
But yeah. So the Apple IIc Plus, I am fond of this computer. That's like the one. That's the one that I generally use. It's the I don't know. It's been upclocked. I mean, so it actually has an accelerator in it, and it's been overclocked as far as it can go. So it's it makes it gets rid of some of the bad parts of using an Apple II, but at the same time, it has a 3.5-inch drive, which is not very useful. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the IIc Plus, I think it's the most beautiful Apple II, but I think it's the best retro Apple II to own because it's compact, takes up very little space, and while it does have the 3.5-inch drive, which isn't super useful if you want to run real floppies, it's the only Apple II that can boot from the external 5.25. They made that change specifically because they knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of 8-bit software in 3.5. So if there's an external 5.25 plugged in, it will boot from that, which none of the other 2Cs can do. So why that's important is because nowadays you can plug in a floppy emulator like a floppy emu or an SD, one of those little SD card readers, and it will boot from those plugged into the external floppy port. So you don't have to do any kind of hacking of the internal floppy drive connector or anything like you have to do on some of the older Apple IIcs to get them to boot those SD card devices. So for all of those reasons, I think this is by far the best retro machine to use if you just want to have a retro Apple II experience on real hardware, but you don't want to devote a massive desk to the endeavor, because I keep mine in a Tupperware bin, and it just takes up no space at all. And I pull it out when I want to play with it. It's great.
It fits in laptop bags too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's fully self-contained, which is nice. Like I also have an Apple II Plus, which I love because it's kind of the OG, but it takes a huge desk because everything has cables, everything's got power supplies, everything's got so there's just massive cables all over the back of it, and it's a pain to move because everything's external. You've got 2 floppy drives and you got the big monitor and you got the, so this thing is nice because it's just literally all in one end. It doesn't even have the external brick on a leash like all the other 2Cs do. So the mains power cord plugs directly into it. Again, super compact. So it's got it all. Mm-hmm. And the best keyboard that Apple ever made. I think because it's the same key switches that are in the 2GS keyboard, which is the actual best keyboard Apple's ever made.
This one's a keyboard with some extra stuff attached.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys being so into the Apple II stuff, could you tell me, is this a hard one to find, the 2C Plus? It
can be. It's probably the rarest one, next to like a Rev Zero Apple II. But they didn't make a lot of them because they didn't sell very well. So they're definitely, I would say, more sought after than other Apple IIs.
Yeah. I have a few of them, and which is something which is a problem I'd sort of like to solve, but so I spent a little bit of time. I guess I'll talk later about my moving adventures, which were discussed in the last couple episodes too. But I spent a little bit of time testing them out to try to figure out like whether they worked and so forth, and it seems like one thing I can say about the Apple IIc Plus is that I'm pretty sure at least that its RAM is soldered, and I think they all have RAM problems. Which is not great. Yeah. So I think they're not really ready to go out the door yet, or they're ready to go out to the door to someone who knows how to fix that. But a lot of them really don't start, which surprised me actually, because like with an Apple II Plus, those things like they almost never don't work.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I have one 2C Plus. It's n equals 1 data point, but definitely did not have any of those problems with it. I had when I got mine, most of the keys didn't work. I had to spend some time dismantling the keyboard and cleaning it, but other than that, it was pretty flawless. Mm-hmm. Another nice feature, though, of these machines is that the ROM is not soldered; it is socketed. And so that allows you to do some important or useful ROM upgrades, like the ROM-X, for example, that allows you to turn the accelerator off by default which again, if you would want to use this machine nowadays as a retro toy, that is by far the best way to go, because you don't want the accelerator on most of the time. It defaults to being on because at the time people were running AppleWorks and PFS file system and whatever, and so you wanted that speed. But nowadays we just want to play games, and no game ever written on the Apple II is compatible with the accelerator, so you have to shut it off all the time.
Well, Load Runner is compatible, but you're like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because the Apple II never had a vertical blank, none of the games are written synchronized to any kind of time base. So when you speed up the entire machine, the games just get sped up, and there's no way to prevent that because there's no constant time base in the machine at all. So yeah, that's the problem. Everything is just cycle counted, so you have to slow the machine down for the games to run properly. Kind of like the turbo button on early PCs. People make fun of it, but it was actually there to slow the machine down for when you wanted to play older games, which again, had no time base, so they couldn't operate at different clock speeds.
Okay, so this was 4 megahertz. For some reason, I thought it had been 5, but I guess it's 4 megahertz is the speed it goes compared to the 1 that Apple II software is usually expecting.
Yeah, I think it's technically 3.6 or something, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder. So I have a little bit more experience with the acceleration on the Apple III, but I wonder if it works kind of the same way. So the Apple III, I've probably complained about this before, but it kind of runs twice as fast, except not exactly. So the thing is that whenever it's touching the video memory, it's got to be slow again. So it runs twice as fast during the horizontal and vertical blanks, but then runs at a slow speed when it's actually drawing. And I wonder if this TC Plus does the same.
It is, yeah. So it can't. All the old hardware that used to be cycle counted all has to remain that way. So that includes the serial ports, it includes the video, it includes the floppy drives. So almost all of the hardware, honestly, was was built assuming it was running at 1 megahertz. So really, just like you say, just those little in-between windows where it's doing pure computation, in those moments it's running at 4 megahertz. And yeah, as soon as you touch a serial port, or as soon as you touch the speaker, or any of those things, it slows down again. Actually, I said I misspoke there. The video on it is accelerated, so it does write to video accelerated. But yeah, as soon as you touch any of the ports or the floppy drive or the speaker, it slows itself down.
One of the things I think is funny about it is that it goes, at least measured this way, it goes faster than the GS.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like it would never be running at 4 megahertz then, based on that description. But actually, that's, you're not actually touching all the ports that often. So if you're running something like AppleWorks or doing a sort in VisiCalc or something, it's going to be blazing fast because, that's where you want the speed, is for those types of things. So it would have been a very impressive machine at the time if anybody still cared about 8-bit productivity software in 1988, which nobody did.
Yeah, that thing about the video, that is definitely the difference with the 3, because the 3 really doesn't run because it's slowing down, whatever that is.
Oh, yeah.
Like 30 times 192, whatever times a second.
Yeah. Well, where this machine and also the Laser 128 really shine is on GEOS or similar things, because there you've got an extremely graphic intensive, heavy GUI that's being asked to run on the machine. And at 1 megahertz, like, GEOS is very painful to use, but at 3.6 or 4, it's awesome. Like, it's just like using, a Mac. It's even better than a Mac in a lot of ways. It's quite a bit snappier in several cases. So it was an awesome machine for GEOS. Me and the 10 other people that used it that way.
Right. All right. One other thing that maybe we can all identify with better is IRC was Internet Relay Chat is dated August 1988.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened at that date, but yeah.
Check your bingo cards for things that are a lot older than I thought they were. Mm-hmm. I would never have guessed IRC was that early.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I sort of feel like I think I might have, just because I didn't really come across any of this stuff until I got to college.
Yeah.
And in college, this already existed,
Yeah.
but apparently only just barely.
Yeah, I think I'm coming at it from the opposite. So like, yeah, I tend to assume everything was invented when I found it. So
Right.
similarly, yeah, I was exposed to all this stuff in university in 1993, and so I just assumed it was all new and cutting edge at the time. But turns out no, most of it had been around for a while.
So I wonder about some of the other text mode things of the pre-World Wide Web internet, like Gopher and FTP and that kind of stuff. Those were also early. I wonder when they came around. I'll look that up. We don't have to Wikipedia it right now.
Yeah.
But,
I assume 1993 because that's when I first used all those things.
right. That's when they were
Right.
invented. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Usenet.
Yeah. Yeah, I used a lot of Gopher in 1993 because it was the only decent way to find anything on the internet.
Yeah, what was it? There was a like Archie and Veronica. Were they Gopher things, or maybe those were FTP things?
I don't
Or maybe
remember,
one
but
was
I
one.
They were
maybe the
kind
other
of
was the other.
searchy things
Yeah.
for Gopher,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
that sounds right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we must have talked about Gopher. I think the
We have. Yeah.
maybe some number of episodes ago was sort of at the same time that the mother Gopher server went down or something like that. Like the University of Minnesota had a Gopher server up until whenever that was. But yeah, that was one of the things that I did on the Nexts. Also, was I was hired by that same math teacher to sort of work on the college Gopher server, math department Gopher server. So there were sort of links to all our various programs and things like that, and I have no backup of that, and it doesn't exist anywhere, and it's kind of annoying because I did at one point try to find like some evidence of this work I did, but nope.
Was it on a Sam Coupe? Are you making all this up, Paul?
Right. Yeah. There was I wonder if I can find that. There was an auction for a Sam Coupe, actually.
Yes, I think
that
you
someone brought to
posted-
my attention.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure it was fake auction.
Yep.
It's AI slop.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be. It's all a conspiracy.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't. It's actually too bad that Blake's not here, because I think of all of us, Blake is the one who is like the most current active IRC user.
Yes, he's
just
deep
hangs
in
out
the,
there.
yeah, he's deep in IRC and has been for many, many years, I think. Yeah.
I sort of pop in and out.
Yeah, I mean, I really only used it for a handful of years there, kind of just pre-web, but like post Usenet, but pre-web kind of. There was a window there where IRC filled a niche, but I didn't use it much other than that.
Yeah, it. I mean, I think the thing that I always kind of get hung up on is the fact that whatever happens when I'm not there, I can't see. I mean, and
Yeah.
So if I forget to leave the window open, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a kind of weird thing to be annoyed by, but that's one thing that the sort of modern versions like Slack and Discord and stuff don't have.
Right.
There is a history even when you're not looking.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting how many standards for real-time chatting IRC created that persist, like slash commands. Like a lot of your muscle memory from the IRC days actually still works. Like a lot of slash commands still work in Slack. They still work in Discord. Like they worked in AOL Instant Messenger. They worked in MSN Messenger. So yeah, it's kind of amazing how many de facto or accidental standards IRC created.
That's why in the Google Doc I had put /me likes this.
Yeah, exactly. I still do that too. I still do the /me thing. Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun in Slack because it's clearly there's some old, neckbeard IRC people working at Slack because all of the old IRC shortcuts all work in Slack. Some of the other stuff, Discord and that, they do some of them, but yeah, Slack, they do them all. So it's fun to accidentally barf one out of your muscle memory and have it work. It's always charming when that happens.
Cool. Yeah. Also, I guess it gave us a way to like control our bot networks.
Yes, that too.
But okay, let's see. What else did I have? I guess the only other thing that I had put in this list was the Microsoft Office. You know, whatever. It was well, it
I've
says
heard of
initial
that.
release 1990, but so all right. So why? I wonder why I thought it was 1988. Let's see. Okay, so according to ComputerHope.com, Microsoft Office was introduced in 1988. According to Wikipedia, it was not. I don't know.
Okay.
I think I kind of trust
Oh, it says
Wikipedia more.
1988 there.
Really? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Announced.
Oh,
Announced.
announced. Ah, okay.
I see. Well, that's okay. And then
Wow,
2 years
that's
later,
yeah. I was gonna say that was an ambitious announcement.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I think I was at that Comdex. I'm pretty
Really?
sure I was
Oh,
at
really?
that one. Yeah.
Yes.
do you have strong memories of it? I gather.
I just, in general, have strong memories of Comdex. It was like trying
Uh-huh.
to crowd as many possible people as you could into a giant room, and it was bedlam, but it was so much fun. And held in the what happens in stays in city of
Uh-huh.
the U.S. and just so yeah, a very chaotic time. Trying to get a taxi is impossible. Uh, trying to visit every booth and see all the new stuff and keep up with what's going on is lots of memories about Comdex. Most of them good.
Yeah. Yeah. It is pretty fun, when you see occasional videos, someone walking around the floor with a VHS camera or whatever, just to see all these things when they were new and just being introduced.
Yeah. I love videos like that too. Plus, you get the haircuts and the clothes
Mm-hmm.
and stuff of the period, which is always fun to
Oh,
see.
yeah, the style. Also, there was never anywhere to sit. So if you had vendors that were hosting a presentation and they had seats, they knew that there were going to be people sitting in those seats because otherwise there's just nowhere to sit.
Yeah.
Even when you were eating your lunch and standing in line for an hour or two, it was an experience.
Yeah, that would be fun. I never did attend any such industry conference because I wasn't ever really in the industry. I think it's possible I came close to Macworld once because it was in a hotel that I stopped in to use the restroom. But like I didn't. That was the extent of it, really.
The first
But there was a
Comdex I
time
went
when it was
to
in
was
Boston.
84. And at that particular time, I was working for Epson, and they stuck me in this absolute flea bag hotel off the strip. And, they said that there would be buses, but we were always convinced the buses were a myth because they never showed up. And so, you're trying to flag a taxi at the same time that you're walking. I get to the show floor and I'm halfway sweaty, walking clear across town. Yeah. Comdex was a blast.
In summary,
Mhm.
all right. I think that. Oh, I guess there's one other thing. I didn't look this up on Wikipedia, but the Sound Blaster also allegedly was 1988.
Oh, that's a big deal. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. That really created PC gaming, honestly, in a serious way.
But this is 1989.
Yep. And then well here and then over here it says 1990.
Okay.
So
So we can
okay.
talk about it next show, and then we
Yeah.
can talk about it the show after. So it's the gift that
sounds
keeps
good.
on giving.
Yeah.
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 There was one other thing I wanted to put on the list too, just out of personal interest. The IBM PS2 Model 70 was from 1988, and I loved that machine. I remember begging my boss to get me one of those machines. He's like, "No, I'm not going to get you one of those machines." I'm like, The thing is, I think you will. After I after I keep begging you for weeks and weeks and weeks,
That sounds like a
and
threat.
and you finally relented and got me one of the Model 70s, and it was everything I hoped it would be. The 386, man, that thing was killer in the day. So, yeah, the microchannel architecture debacle was doomed, but the Model 70 was a very nice machine.
They were beautiful machines to look at too. I always liked how they look. Yeah, they looked high tech at the time. They looked like the future. Back when bland and beige felt new instead of stale and played out. Back when all the other computers were brown and black, a very light gray or light beige felt very high tech.
Did 386 last very long? I remember being blown away by the 286, thinking, "Oh, this is so much faster," and then there was the 386, but the 486 came so quickly. I thought that,
in terms of it, its heyday, I remember it being about 3-ish years.
Okay.
Obviously, it persisted way after that because those would be the motherboards that then would sell cheaper than the 486s. But the 386 had like about a 3-year heyday. And I think Compaq was the first company to come out with a 386 computer. They beat IBM to the punch, which was also a big deal back in the day.
Yeah, the whole 286, 386, 486 run to me is sort of a blur because, I also wasn't in PCs at the time. So I was just absorbing from my friends who had PCs. And just the whole thing, it felt like it all went very fast. Like the run from 286 to Pentium felt like a couple of years. But as you say, I think, there was a much longer life in the discount sales and the home users who just wanted to run email or whatever, like they were going to buy the last year's CPU or whatever. But of course, my friends were all gamers, so all I was ever hearing about was the latest x86 something or other.
Well, I think the other thing that... Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, well, no, okay. All I was going to say was that I think of what I mainly think of when I think of the 486 is like optimal Doom machine.
That was definitely a sweet spot for sure for PC gaming. 486 VGA Sound Blaster, that was the real sweet spot. And that was kind of also coincided with when a lot of the real classics were released. That was the era of Populus's Bullfrog's golden days and golden age and so on. So LucasArts and all that. So that was definitely the moment for big box PC gaming.
I was just thinking that the 386 and 486 might have had a little bit more life and overlapping life because of all the crazy clock speeds. Like with an 8086, you had like a couple clock speeds. With a 286, the same, if I remember. Like there's an 8 and a 10 or something like that. But with the 386 and 486, all of a sudden, it was an explosion of these variants, the SX, the DX, the multiple clock speeds. Is just like, it seemed like they were doing step innovations all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Intel was very good at squeezing performance out of existing chips. So the 486 and then the DX and then the DX2, and each one felt like it had like a 6-month, life or whatever. And then another one would come out, and it was a bit exhausting, honestly, for non-PC people to try and keep up with it all. But it started that PC upgrading treadmill that I guess continues to this day.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's it for our 1988 items.
Yeah, I'll throw in one little thing that I found that's kind of fun. I went looking for which Amiga was released in 1988 because I figured there had to be one. I think of the late 80s as being kind of the Amiga time, but there wasn't one. There was the 2000 in 87 and the 3000 in 89. But what I did find is that Lemon Amiga, which is a game database site, will show you games by year. So I accidentally turned up the list of Amiga games released in 1988, which I threw that link in the show notes. And oh my gosh, it's so many. Like there are so many more Amiga games than I realized. The list of just ones released in 1988 is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and a lot of real classics. So there may not have been new hardware that year, but it was definitely prime time for new games to be coming out. So a lot of classics that people will know were released in that period. But I mean, you can see from this website here, there's 15 pages of it. And we're, starting in the numbers and then going to the A's and the B's. And we're, there's so many, many. It's funny. It's almost depressing to look at this list and realize how much awesome stuff I missed out on by not having an Amiga at the time. But it was pretty amazing time for that machine.
Yeah. And I think like now I'm not going to have time to play all those.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like, well, I could go do it now, but yeah, let's be honest, I'm not going to. I don't have the time to do this. Yeah. But and it doesn't feel quite the same. Like at the time when this stuff was new, there was a magic to it that isn't quite there when you go back to it now. Like it's neat to see this stuff, but there's that cutting edgeness because it wasn't just cool games. It was that they were new and they were the best thing you could get in the moment. And so that latter part of the experience is gone now. So it doesn't feel as special as it would have at the time.
Yeah. I misread TurboTrax at first. And and now I wonder if it was
that was TurboTax for the Amiga.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that looks like way more fun than what we have now.
Yeah. Sort of outrunning the auditors.
Yeah, I would do my taxes if it looked like that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I was a little surprised at how it didn't seem like there was a huge number of things on the 1988 list, but I bet when you start really looking at software, that is going to be a big change. I see Ultima 4 is here on the Amiga list, and that's probably about the right time for Ultima 4 across platforms.
Yeah, I think it was ported to the Amiga later, I would guess. It's definitely it's the era of 16-bit gaming for sure, because this was also the time of the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. So I mean, you go to the mall and the computer store was just wall to wall SNES and Genesis and Amiga games and Atari ST games. I loved computer stores in this era because there was so much cool stuff out. Every time you went to the store, there was 10 new games, even if I couldn't play them because I didn't have an Atari ST or whatever. It was just neat to look at the boxes and see what all was there. I mean, these Amiga games in this era look so good. The Amiga was so good at this kind of 2D 16-bit graphics. And there's a character and a charm to these graphics that was lost when we went to 3D everything. Because 3D, especially early 3D, like the first 15 years of 3D, honestly kind of look like garbage. Everything's muddy and blurry and low poly. But these 16-bit games look just as good today as they did back then.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Now, I guess we can move on from 1988 to talk about items of interest in news. And Earl, you have the first of these.
So I put in a link to a video of Christian Simpson, aka Parafractic. Sorry, I say that again. Parafractic, kind of hard to say. He is showing off the construction of this new Commodore 64 that is being built by the new old Commodore. I mean, I think you guys have talked about it on a previous episode, but
yes,
in 1994, when Commodore, went out of business, after that, the brand bounced around quite a bit. And while not all, I would say that certainly some of the things that came out under the brand, you could classify as cynical approaches to just make money off of a recognizable brand, right? And that made a lot of Commodore enthusiasts sad because it's like not only is the company out of business, but now you're kind of dragging the chicken head through the mud as you're going along. And there had been a lot of talk in the community over time as what if some grouping of people were to buy the Commodore brand and then turn it back into something special? And so Parafractic did more than just think about it. He actually did it. He put a group of people together, got the investment, bought the Commodore trademarks, and is now creating a new Commodore 64 that is built out of some actual established technology. Like the motherboard for this new Commodore is a FPGA reimplementation of the Commodore 64 based on a very popular motherboard and has been for sale for a long time, and now it has been reworked and, as they say in the video, heavily modified for use in this new Commodore 64. And the new Commodore 64, to me, it looks beautiful. There are 3 different versions of it that you can get, and it's not horrifically expensive. I think that the cheapest one might be $300. Let me look it up real quick on Commodore.net. But
yeah, that was what surprised me the most in this whole story was how reasonably priced it is. Because there have been reproductions of other retro machines available, but they're always kind of in the $1,000 range because it's expensive to do short runs of bespoke electronics. But yeah, this thing is incredibly reasonably priced.
And yeah, I'm looking at it here. So it's $300 for the beige version, $350 if you want the colorful LED version, and $500 if you want the Founders Edition, which, if I remember right, there was a gold version of the original 64 that was introduced after some milestone of how
Yeah,
many they sold.
it was the 1 millionth one sold. They did a little run of gold, yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I know that you all had talked about it before, but this looks like an update. I mean, you can see actual devices being created. So it's not, at least as far as I can tell, just vaporware. Now, where they go from here in terms of keeping the Commodore brand alive and keeping it relevant in that, it's going to be really interesting to watch. I understand that they have kind of an ethos that they want to generate around this, and they call it like a digital detox brand. And I think the tagline is "the future we were promised." But where you go from there is going to be, it's kind of a question mark to me. I mean, this device is beautiful, and I think just in and of itself, I would qualify it as a success. But then I don't know what the next thing is. So
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that the last time we talked about this whole effort. Is it's not clear to me what Commodore users actually want. I mean, other than they want the Commodore to be, produced again or whatever. There's no shortage of replicated Commodores out there, and no shortage of ways to run all the software and whatever. So it's not clear, like you said, Earl. It's like, okay, he made a new Commodore 64. It's a perfect copy of the original. It's amazing. But yeah, now what? I heard something the other day that made me think of retrocomputing, and this in particular. It was a movie podcast, and they were talking about Star Wars. The same thing happens with Star Wars. Every time a new Star Wars comes out, all the fans are mad, and no matter what they do, everyone's mad. and so because they keep trying to figure out, well, what do you people actually want? And it turns out what everybody wants is to be 12 again, and they can't do that with a new Star Wars movie, right? We can't make it 1977 again. And I feel like that's a little bit happening with the Commodore community. Like everybody just wants to be 12 again, and no amount of new Commodores is going to do that. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what they do from here, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it might be slightly interesting just because I wasn't in the Commodore world, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, making the thing work, and not explode from its bad power supply. So
yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer if you just want to get a retro Commodore to play with. Yeah, absolutely. This is because it's such a nicely built machine, and it's going to be bulletproof, and it has a modern power supply, and it has USB, and so it's got HDMI video, like it's super low barrier to entry. It's a no-brainer for that purpose if you just want to play old Commodore games on real hardware, for sure.
Yeah.
So
And I assume
a
all
little
the
later,
the user ports work and stuff, right?
the ports work, the cartridge port. Yeah. So a little later, when we talk about what we've been up to, I'll detail a PDP-11 adventure that I just had and how a power supply blew up on me. And it actually was kind of frustrating to pull this stuff out, with the concept of ran when parked, but
Right.
all of a sudden you turn it on and boom, you get the snap, crackle, pop. And it's like, and I'd even looked at it to make sure there were no components that looked like they were about to blow. But anyway, something like this has a big appeal to me for that exact reason that you were just talking about, Paul. I would love to be able to buy something brand new with components that probably aren't going to explode on me in the next 5 minutes while I'm playing with it. And also have some of the niceties of life, like the ability to plug it into an HDMI monitor and that kind of thing. That's nice too.
Yeah. Yeah. And have that work properly. Like it's going to scale correctly and the aspect ratio will be right. Because, you can have an original Commodore and get some weird adapter or whatever, but they never quite work exactly right. And there's weird latency and other issues. So assuming they solved all that problem, and you're not going to have to worry about bad RAM chips. Like I have an original Commodore 64, but it crashes kind of randomly and in ways that I don't think are the software's fault because it's crashing a little too often. So I suspect it's got bad RAM or something in it. But again, I don't really know, and I don't really have the energy to go diagnose that. So it's very tempting to just buy one of these and know it's going to work.
Commodore used some pretty dodgy RAM on some of their 64 main boards.
Yeah, they cut corners in every component pretty much. I mean, I talked about this back when I got this machine. I had to completely strip and rebuild the power switch because they used such cheap, crappy switches in them that the power switches just stopped working. And that's a known problem. Again, such a known problem that they sell replacements for them. But yeah, the keyboard, the way that I had to take the whole keyboard apart and redo all of the solder contacts because the way that the key switches work is just terrible because, again, they were cutting corners. And yeah, it's amazing they've lasted this long for how cheaply built they are. But so a machine like this, again, they've talked about it in the video there, but they have modern key switches in it. There's some kind of cherry key switch in there. So it's got a better keyboard than the original one did. It's appealing in a lot of ways. They do need to do something about the naming of these products, though. So this one's called the Commodore 64 Ultimate, but there was already a 1541 Ultimate, and then there's a C64, and there's a C64 Mini, and like everything is some combination of C64 and Ultimate. And honestly, there's like 50 of these things now, and I can't keep the names of them straight. Like this one, so there was a 1541 Ultimate that became a full-blown machine. It started as an SD card emulator, floppy emulator, and became a full-blown machine, which became the Commodore, or the 1541 Ultimate 2 something, and then that became this machine that he's building, which then became the Commodore 64 Ultimate or something. I don't know. Just new names, please.
Yeah. All right. And I guess actually we can maybe we can skip ahead to continue the Commodore theme.
What's next?
With Quinn's item.
Yeah, so we might as well just put a permanent link to Ken Sheriff's blog in our show notes because we talk about him a lot. But he's known for doing incredible reverse engineers on modern CPUs, for example, just done entirely from the photographs of the die, which is just incredible that he can do that. I mean, it's sort of one of those things where if you understand modern photographic chip making, you know how that in principle is possible, but to see someone actually do it is very, very impressive. And so he writes about that sort of thing a lot, but this is occasionally he dips into more retro stuff and more in our wheelhouse. And this is definitely one of those. He's got a really nice write-up of a diagnosis of a malfunctioning PET. And he found 6.5 bad chips in it. And if you're interested in diagnosing and repairing retrocomputers, I think this is a really great thing to read and just sort of show you what you're probably in for. What kinds of things go wrong, what types of diagnostic tools you will need, and so on. Diagnosing retrocomputing problems is a fun kind of hobby because these machines are simple enough that anyone who's sort of halfway competent with a logic analyzer can pretty much diagnose these things. There's really not that much to them. Once you understand how they work, and if you know how to use your logic analyzer, then you can kind of trace the whole machine through. It takes a lot of patience, of course, but it can be done. So this write-up is a really nice way to see how that's done. It's interesting also because Ken is not really a retrocomputer person. He's coming at this from hardware, electrical engineer perspective. So some of the software side of it is a bit more Greek to him, but it's just approaching it from the bottom up and knowing what should be where as far as signals go. He's able to figure out what's wrong with this thing and get it working. So it's a great write-up. You don't see a lot of good write-ups about the thought process behind diagnosing. There's tons of YouTube videos out there, people fixing retrocomputers, and most of them are like, well, I tested and I found this bad chip and I replaced it. But this blog post goes inside the head of the diagnostic process a little bit more, which I really liked. So strong recommend for reading this if you're interested in fixing old machines.
Awesome. And I love that he was able to fix this one too, because I'm looking at this chiclet keyboard, and this is one of the most undamaged of the 2001 chiclet keyboards that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Thing is in gorgeous shape.
It's a real unicorn machine, this thing. Yeah. I think he did this in collaboration with a retro YouTuber who had this machine, but fixing it was out of his skill set. So he handed it off to Ken, who then got it working. And yeah, it was worth fixing. It was worth going to all this effort to fix because it's kind of a special machine. It's the early chiclet version, and it's in spotless, perfect condition. So you don't see them like this too often. It's a nice machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that is my recollection of ever seeing auctions for these. The keyboard's always kind of mangled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The surfaces would just kind of get squishy, and the lettering would wear off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This thing, it's in perfect, immaculate condition. I haven't watched the related YouTube video. There's a link to that at the end of this blog post. It may be that the guy has done some kind of restoration work on it. I don't know. But it's in incredible condition right now. That's for sure. And I mean, the PET, even as retrocomputers go, the PET is a simple one because it's a very early one. So, I mean, you can see there's 15, 20 chips on the motherboard. Like, there's really not that much to this thing. Up to about maybe 1985, these machines are definitely within the realm of any of us to diagnose if you learn a little bit of digital logic. Beyond that, they start to get pretty complicated. You start to get into higher clock speeds, and you get into a lot of custom chips and such that you're not going to be able to diagnose. But and particularly PETs and Apple IIs, because they were 99% off-the-shelf chips. So it's just literally TTL logic glued together. You're going to have a little more trouble diagnosing a Commodore 64 or something with a lot of custom chips in it. But these basic TTL boxes are a lot of fun to pick through and understand how they work and fix them. And you can still get most of these chips too, which is really nice. Like, he found a bunch of bad, NAND gate chips, and you can still go to Mouser and buy a DIP NAND gate chip. It's going to be, 500 times faster than the one that was in this machine, but that doesn't matter. So it's neat that you can still buy all these chips. So that is my news item.
Cool.
I just went preemptive on my 2001. It didn't have a problem, but it only had 8K of memory, and Commodore had drilled holes in the motherboard where the additional memory could possibly go because they didn't want people to buy the 8K version and then upgrade the RAM themselves. It's just such a, anyway.
I did not know that was ever that. Wow, that's fascinating. I didn't know they did that.
In a future episode, I'll take out the main board and actually show you guys the holes drilled in the main board. But nicely, Tynemouth had made this board that you take out the 6502 and you sandwich this board in between the 6502 and the main board. And then you can select if you want to use the machine's ROM or the ROM off of this new board, and the same with the RAM. So I was actually able to upgrade my ROM, take the RAM up to 32K, but do it in a reversible fashion. So if you ever wanted to put it back stock, you could just take the card out, put the 6502 back in. You wouldn't want to do that too many times because those old sockets Commodore used were really crappy too. They were, after just a few insertions, you're going to be replacing the socket probably.
Yeah, I always think that that kind of an interposed board is pretty funny because you're kind of you're putting, the CPU in the matrix. You're saying
Yeah.
like I'm gonna present to you a fictional world and you're
Yes.
not gonna know the difference.
Yeah, I've got Ian Kim's Mockingbird reproduction inside my 2C Plus, and again, because there's no slots in there, he did it the same way. It sits between the CPU and its socket, and yeah, I find that fascinating that it's just sort of listening for like Mockingbird memory addresses and doing the right thing, and the CPU is none the wiser. Such a clever way to do it.
Yeah. There's a couple of comments coming in on the what do you call it, chat? The YouTube
The
chat.
YouTube?
Yeah. So
Oh, quite a few actually. Hi, YouTube.
yeah. So Dusted's stuff maybe said, I got the Ultimate 64 FPGA board. It's marketed as compatible with existing Commodore hardware. Especially interesting that it has an expansion, but it's not a truly compatible expansion port. And it does sort of suggest that maybe the user port itself is not actually there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Or else maybe it's not fully compatible.
Okay.
So Dusted's stuff said also, I built a compatible C64 with no original parts, and that actually is compatible except for the missing illegal opcodes in the 6502.
It's probably non-trivial to perfectly replicate the user port and the expansion port because it's an FPGA implementation of a bunch of Commodore hardware. They have to basically emulate those expansion ports and all of the hardware timing and everything, which was probably quirky and weird, like everything Commodore. And so, yeah, there's probably like fast load cartridges and stuff are probably depending on specific behavior of those ports that's difficult to replicate. Kind of like the SID. Like the SID is notoriously difficult to replicate, but because it's just audio, it doesn't matter if you don't do it perfectly. It just sounds a tiny bit different. But yeah, for those ports, that's a big deal. I can see that being hard.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know to what extent I would be using expansion if I were using a C64, but it does feel like that that would be a big issue for me if I wanted to buy a new one in order to have something more reliable than an old one, but I couldn't plug in the modem or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it does undermine the selling point of the machine a little bit, because otherwise you might as well just buy a C64 Mini or one of those other reproductions if all you want to do is play games. But if you want to have the real hardware so that you can use all of the accessories and stuff, then yeah, you're going to need those ports to work. That said, I guess it depends which accessories, because like the only thing I'm using the expansion port on my C64 for is my 1541 Ultimate, which has Wi-Fi and SD card emulation and all these it's got a fast load built into it, all this cool stuff, but I think all of that stuff's actually built into this new C64 Ultimate, so you wouldn't need any of that stuff, so you wouldn't need the expansion port if that's what you're going to do with it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, let's see, and I think I'm going to skip the news item I had put down there was not that interesting, or well, is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So then I think what that means is it is now time for a word from our sponsor, which I will discover later.
I'm never sure how much of the controversy about that guy that we should talk about. That new Commodore guy.
The Commodore guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing's very polarizing. There's when we shouldn't put this in the show, but there's some rumors that he maybe stole.
Well, this is also on the. On
well,
YouTube,
that's
right?
true. All right, yeah, I won't say too much more then. But there's some rumors of ethical misbehavior around that whole effort, but I won't engage in hearsay.
I mean, I think that we did talk a little bit about it before, and one of the things I remember is that there are many pieces to the IP at this point, and
Yeah.
like some parts are owned by some people, other parts by other people.
Yes. Yeah.
Some of that was transferred.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The IP, yeah, it got chopped up until like the logo rights are separate from the name rights are separate from the graphic design. Like, yeah, during the dark ages of the brand, it got chopped up and sold for parts. And yeah, this new guy got some of those parts back and not some of the other ones. And yeah, it's all very murky.
yeah. Okay, let's see. Let me close a couple tabs here. And then I will bring us back. Apparently I have a lot of tabs. Oh, and I closed one I didn't mean to. Awesome. Oh well. It'll be all right. All right. All right, and we're back. So the host retrocomputing gift idea this time was something that Quinn found, but looks quite cool. It is actually, one might say, useful, perhaps with quotation marks, but more useful than many of the things that we have talked about before in the gift idea section. So it's the well, actually, Quinn, maybe you might want to talk about it.
Sure, this is something that we are often looking for in the retro community, and there's never been a great solution to it. But somehow I came across this thing, which is the Viking Electronics two-way phone line simulator, and it's a little box like the size of a deck of cards, and it does exactly what you want, which is that it has two phone jacks in it, and you can plug in modems, and they think they are on a landline in the 1980s, and it does nothing else, and it's reasonably priced-ish for this type of thing. This kind of phone line hardware is always pretty expensive, but it's a vastly, I think, superior solution to the other ways that we've been doing this. If you want to set up a BBS at a conference, or just want to have one in your house to play with, that kind of thing. It's hard these days, of course, as we all know, because modems are expecting all of these signals from landlines to be there, dial tones and so on, that aren't there. Certain voltages have to be on the line for modems to answer and talk to each other. And all of that is difficult to recreate in the absence of the original nationwide phone system. So people have used, there's certain like diagnostic boxes from telecoms that people buy on eBay or whatever that simulated phone lines that can do it. People have used PBX boxes that were used to create internal phone systems in offices, but those are always enormous and very expensive and support like 50 phone lines when you just want one. So this thing is that it creates a single phone line between two phones or two modems, and creates a tiny landline with which you can run a little BBS at your trade show desk or whatever, and show the kids today the awesomeness that was bulletin boards.
Right.
I wonder what number you call when you're on one of these lines to dial the other of the lines.
That's a good question. It's probably you don't. You probably just go off hook, and I'm not sure. That's a really good question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. So, let's see. It provides 2 seconds of precise dial tone after off hook, and then probably after that, it doesn't actually care what you.
Yeah.
Dial.
So it's not simulating the switch panel, just the phone line. So yeah, I think you just go off hook, and then the modems know what to do after that, I guess.
And the other side would ring?
Yeah.
Like off hook on one would ring two?
I assume so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because the quote unquote ring is just a 24 volt. It's just a high voltage. The phone line goes to 24 volts, and that's how you know it's quote ringing. Because originally, when telephones were all electromechanical, 24 volts was what actually moved the little electromagnetic hammer in the phone that rang the bell.
And erased the discs that were under it.
Yeah, exactly, and erased all the discs in a 3-foot area. And so now so then when modems came along, they listened for that 24 volts, and so I assume that's what it's doing. But
so Santo in the chat says, I have one of these. I use it for computers with built-in modems that don't have serial ports. Mm-hmm. Also, I use it for video text units.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the thing I've been using for this to the extent that I have been using something for this, is it is essentially one of those little PBX things. It wasn't super expensive. I was trying to track it down, but maybe I'll put it in the show notes or whatever. It's yeah, I couldn't quite remember the name. It has home and 650 in it, but it was actually not so much for offices, but just for your house.
Oh, okay.
So you can call, you can call down to the den or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it had something like I think it has something like 8 lines, and it actually does parse the numbers, like so I can call one from another.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's
But
neat.
so it's but it's kind of big
Yeah.
and heavy, and this seems like it would do what I needed in a much more sort of achievable or convenient way.
Yeah, I suppose a PBX box would have that advantage in that it would do the phone numbers and the ringing, which I presume this thing does not. So that would be kind of a good reason to use a PBX if you still wanted to have the dialing and the ringing part of the experience. I guess it would only be a 3-digit number or something, but still. PBX hardware is getting increasingly rare, though, because, of course, Office phone systems now are all voice over IP. So, yeah, well, PBX hardware is all obsolete now, too.
Yeah, I brought one to Kansas Fest 2024 and showed like connected Apple Cats together, which is, I mean, and it's you kind of have to do that in order to experience any of this software, because anything that's sort of purpose, like, so, whatever, we talk about that particular modem a fair amount, but I mean, like, whatever's purpose built for that hardware, there's nothing that emulates this card.
Yeah.
So you can't experience this in any other way.
Yeah, there was a lot of very interesting modems, and it's a whole class of hardware that just got completely orphaned by modern technology. Like, there's just no way to get that experience back. It's kind of unique in that way. The closest other thing I can think of is maybe dot matrix printers, where you can just barely still get the experience of using those. But like, once the ribbons are gone, then that's another experience that's just completely orphaned. Mm-hmm. We'll just have to. The kids today will never believe us what the experience was like.
Oh, we have another answer, which is awesome. Santos says it does dialing and ringing. You set one side auto answer on one computer, then dial any number on the other computer.
Cool.
And they'll connect.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so you can even dial a full 10-digit number or 7-digit number and get the experience. That's really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Santa. Wow, what a handy commenter to have in real time answering questions.
I'm trying to remember if you had. So whenever I was trying to dial out, so I was on a PBX and trying to dial out, you do something like dial 9 and then wait and then dial the number. I think the wait usually was just a time. Like, it just waits a second and then continues to dial, so it assumes that you got out. I don't know if any of them actually required another dial tone. But,
I think there. Well, I don't think so, because there's an AT command for that. I think, is it the star? Where it just literally is a 1-second delay.
I thought that was a comma.
I think a comma.
A comma? Yeah. Okay, that's it. So yeah, I think it was literally just a delay. There isn't any kind of feedback required there.
Yeah. So this would work for that. I mean, why you would want to put a 9 comma in your string at this point, I don't know, but yeah. I actually was. I had to use a fax machine a couple of days ago, because it doesn't really matter. This hospital wanted either this form faxed to them or walked over to them. There was no other option. So
yeah, amazing.
Interesting. 1990 called and they want their process back.
Yeah, so dumb. I mean, and there's no real way to know if it got through, if it just landed on the floor somewhere.
Yeah, that was always the weird thing about faxing. It was just sort of like push the button and pray. You have no idea if the other person had got it or what happened.
Yeah, or if it just went to the wrong number.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing.
All right, so when you're done buying your phone simulators, you can turn your attention to eBay, and Earl has the first auction for us.
Do you want to bring it up, Paul?
I do, and yet, just a minute. that was the tab I accidentally closed.
He wants to.
Okay. Here it is.
I don't know for sure, but I don't think this stand that this computer is sitting on is part of it, because another picture I saw didn't have this stand. But for those who are actually listening, which is 99% of you, what I'm talking about is something called an Altos 580 computer. It looks like an orthogonal sort of case design, like it's not quite a square. It's kind of rounded on the top. It's gray. It's big. It has one floppy drive in the front. It's a CPM computer based on the Z80 processor. The operating systems it can run are CPM, MPM, which was a multi-user version of CPM, or I believe something called Oasis, if I remember right. Anyway, I had never seen this computer before. I had never encountered it. And I saw this on eBay and I thought, well, that's fascinating. So I went and did a little bit of digging on it. There are some manuals up on BitSavers, one of our favorite spots for archiving old documentation. And this computer was pretty powerful for the day in that it was designed right from the jump to be a multi-user system. It could apparently go up to 192K of RAM. And so, for those keeping score with the Z80 processor, it had to have been doing some sort of bank switching operation to be able to handle that. And it was designed to have multiple terminals connected to it. So when you look at the pictures in the back, it had 4 RS-232 ports on it. So honestly, this was a little tiny mainframe that you could use in your office environment. And I just thought it was really fascinating.
That is a really unusual machine. There was such a world of weird little CPM machines that we're only now learning about.
Yeah.
That was such a
maybe
dense
particularly
ecosystem.
these.
Yeah. Late 70s, early 80s, just the tail end of the glory days of CPM. There was so many weird machines like this that no one's heard of.
Yeah. It says Ethernet on the back.
It does.
I see that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, but the date on the machine was
That's like
1982. Yeah, that's very early for Ethernet, right?
I would have thought so. Could it have referred
Yes.
to something else?
I know. I mean, I guess plausibly, but it probably means what we know and love as Ethernet, except, I mean, I would imagine that is something like an optional card, and it probably would have been one of the AUI interfaces, right? Those big DB connectors.
Yeah, or like 10 base 2, maybe like the twisted pair coax or something, like the thin net or something.
Could have been a thin net
Yeah.
card.
I think that would be too early for 10 base T, I think. That would have been early 90s, right? Although here we go again, everything's older than I think it is, clearly.
Right. Yeah.
And the price, at least the initial listing, wasn't that bad, of $125. Now, something like this occupies, I think, sort of the same space as a couple of the computers that I have in my collection that came from a rescue. It's like, this thing is presumably pretty rare. Like, I've never seen one, never heard of one. But it's possible for a machine to be so obscure and so rare that nobody cares. Like, who wants to buy it? It's like nobody has nostalgia for it because they've never seen one.
Yeah.
So it occupies kind of this weird spot of computing history that could potentially get lost because it's not really snazzy to look at. Very boring industrial design. It's not like somebody's going to look at that and go, oh, I got to get me one of those.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to get lost to time because, nobody's going to be emotionally attached to it or care about it really. Yeah. So I did, of course, had to look it up. 10 base 5, which was the original thicknet Ethernet, was officially standardized in 1982. But it had been spec'd before that. So this machine would have been probably one of the first to support Ethernet for sure. But they got in just under the wire, so to speak, on that in 82 to support that.
Cool.
And this was introduced in 82, but we don't actually know how long that particular computer line was produced. I mean, this could have
Yeah.
been a little later, like 83, 84.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was officially standardized in 82, the Ethernet standard, but it existed before that. So they could have been just designing to like whatever de facto version of it everybody understood. It just 82 is when like the IEEE sat down and actually wrote the standard. So, but the tech existed before that. So, but yeah, that's neat though. This would be very early for it regardless.
I'm going to have to step out for a second. I just had too much coffee. So
Oh, okay.
talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the old. Can you still hear me, Quinn?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Paul's audio went away and it sounded like everything muted.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the old thicknet Ethernet stuff. We had a little bit of that in my early days of computer networking with the Novell networking. And that stuff was just practically impossible to work with.
Yeah.
It was like more rigid than a pipe, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed ThickNet, but I did use the 10 base 2 ThinNet stuff. We had that. We had a ThinNet network in university, and yeah, it was awful. Like it was spread across multiple rooms, and it had all those little coax connectors. If anything wasn't perfect, the whole system went down. And it had those terminators, which of course the students would always remove because it was funny to bring the whole network down. And so the terminators kept disappearing, and yeah, it was just so sensitive to anything being slightly wrong. And yeah, I don't miss it. That's for sure.
Yeah, if the cable got crimped, for instance,
Yeah.
like what we would do is before we had the official cabling going to rooms, is that people would throw it over the false ceiling into the other room,
Yeah.
and which was about as unsafe as it was untidy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea Ethernet was that early. 82. That's very early.
All right. I have returned.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Who's
So I think we talked the altos to death.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Fair enough. I have a couple of things. Yeah. What is interesting among the things that I have? Good question. So, I mean, I guess just in honor of the next cube, I found a next cube. There are a few that are out there on eBay. This particular one is starting at a bid of $2,800. So you've got to seriously want it, I guess.
That's a lot.
The cubes, I mean, the cubes are, it's easier to find the slabs than it is to find the cubes.
Yeah.
And it's also easier to find a sort of more beat up looking cube than a nice one like this. So it's not, I don't know. I can't decide if it's too much or not, but you could always go get another one if you don't like this price.
I mean, plus side is it looks like it's working.
Yep.
Yeah, it's demonstrated working in the listing, which is nice. Yeah. I feel like this may not be unreasonable. I feel like Next stuff goes for pretty big money usually.
Yeah, so it's kind of I don't have one. I do have a slab, but basically I think I have the sort of last Next. It's a color turbo, and that's even that was expensive. So, but
the sound of swapping off the magneto optical drive on the original cube is etched in my brain. That noise.
Right.
I had a friend when I was still in high school. I had a friend in university, and he got one of these, the cube with the original magneto optical, and we all went over to his house and oohed and awed at it. But the noise that thing made, oh my gosh, it was, and it was so slow once it started swapping. But it was an incredible machine, but that drive was not a good idea.
Yeah, no, but it was one of the things. So yeah, the Next had this. It was sort of like rewritable optical, and I mean, I've zoomed the picture in on it, but you can't. I mean, it just fades into the the design, but in there there's a tray that you can put the disk in. And for a long time, this was the thing that died. I mean, that nobody had these things working. And then a few years ago, somebody figured out how to fix them. So I think they are now revivable.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So if you wanted that nostalgic sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were sort of like the Twiggy drive because it was such a unicorn technology that was never used again and didn't last very long. Yeah, I assumed those drives would just be boat anchors at this point. I mean, the swapping problem that they had was easily fixable, of course, just by putting a bigger hard drive in the machine and reconfiguring it to not use the magneto drive for swapping. But when they first came out, that was kind of the only option for giving them the RAM that they needed. But yeah, that's it's neat that they can be fixed now. I didn't know that. Can you still get the discs though? Surely not. They were some kind of weird special disc too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that what Worm is? I don't know. Maybe.
No, Worm is different. That's write
Okay.
once, read many or something. That's an earlier tech. Yeah, the magneto optical was a real unicorn. That I mean, it was a perfectly reasonable technology for backups or various other things, but using it as high speed storage for swapping was a ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
That feels like
so one thing
that feels like one decision where Steve Jobs went down to the engineers and said, "We're doing this." All the engineers were like, "This is not a good idea. We're doing this," and so they did it.
Yeah. Worked out fine with a fan in the Apple III, right?
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that is interesting about this listing is it does reveal that the seller was employee number 92, hired at Next in 1989.
Neat.
And this is not the computer that this person owned while there, but nevertheless, I think it's at least an interesting connection. And I mean, yeah, perhaps it means that there's interesting stuff saved.
Yeah. This is probably a machine that I would only buy if I could do local pickup, though, because those monitors are enormous and incredibly heavy and incredibly unobtainium. So if it didn't survive shipping, you would be very sad. And the monitor and the machine's useless without the special Next monitor. So I think I would not try to buy this if I couldn't pick it up.
And it's located in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. So, as far as the monitors go, so one of the other things I had was a Next computer video cable, and I'm trying to remember exactly. So I don't have a Next monitor for the TurboColor slab that I have.
Yeah,
but it's a very limited number of monitors that work with it. So it has to. There's some sort of like sync signal that it needs to be able to use, and it also needs this funny cable.
Yeah. So that cable that you're showing on screen now, how the name it? Oh, I'm losing all my workstation cred by not knowing the name of that cable. I think it's something
13W3.
Thank you. Yes, 13W. Yes, I knew there was a W in it. 13W3. So it's got the RG and B signals are actually coax connectors embedded in the D sub connector. There were a couple of companies that used that, so you can probably use their monitors. One of those was Silicon Graphics, and that's why I know about this cable. The SGI monitors used that same cable, so I wouldn't be terribly shocked if you can use an SGI monitor on a Next. And weirdly, I think SGI monitors are probably easier to get than Next monitors because they actually made a lot more of them, I think. There was a good 20 years there of SGIs that all used that cable. So it might be an option.
It's been so long since I got this Next thing set up that I don't quite remember. But what I see here when I look at it, does it have a number? Well, it's an NEC multi-sync LCD monitor that actually is working with this slab.
Okay.
So, but nevertheless it was like I had to find this particular model.
Yeah.
Like not all NEC monitors would work. So and so
yeah. Yeah, the original Next had a very specific screen resolution that it used because it used for the display post script to work. It made some assumptions about DPI and resolution and so on that the monitor was going to have, because of course they designed the machine to only use its own monitor. Classic Steve Jobs kind of move. Yeah, that original Next Cube was a funny thing. It distributed a lot of the machine. Like there was stuff happening in the printer, like the printer was part of the power supply, and like the audio subsystem was like in the speaker box that was external. Like it was a weird system. They kind of you kind of had to have all the exact right pieces for it to work.
Yeah, definitely with the soundbox. That was so. I think the soundbox is how you get ADB connections. Like I'm pretty sure
Right.
this
Yeah.
cube that was on the in the other listing, what is not an ADB keyboard.
Yeah.
They made a later keyboard that was ADB, but you need the soundbox in order to use it.
Yeah. So while we're talking here, our commenters are listing other machines that use that video connector, and they're all basically workstations. So I guess it was a standard workstation video connector. So Sun Microsystems and the IBM R6000s also used them. So that makes sense. Yeah, that it was a workstation standard, I guess.
Yeah. All right. And I never said what this was, but if you wanted that cable, it's $131. So,
And you'll be glad to pay it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now that one has two outputs. Does one of those go to the printer or something?
Yeah, it's a good question. It does seem to have. So it has those you know, the little coax RGB things on two of them, and then there's one other one. So it's some kind of Y cable.
Because the Next would do weird tricks, like it would turn the printer on and off when you used it. So the printer had like it would control its own power supply through the SCSI port and stuff. So it did a lot of tricky stuff like that. I wonder if that's related to this cable being a Y cable. I wonder if that's a SCSI connector on the other end.
I do have a printer. Like I have a Next laser printer that I've never. I mean, like it's. I don't know why I have that. It's heavy. I don't know that I'm ever going to laser print anything. It looks kind of neat, but yeah. So I've never tried that. It's just one of those someday projects.
Guess we need Blake here again. He's our kind of our local Next expert, our Next pert, if you will.
and we will. Yeah. Well, and actually Jack too. Jack worked in the Next lab that I worked in. So, but he was like I played around with Mathematica. He worked there.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. This came up. I don't know. I thought it was at least sort of interesting to see. It is Amstrad PPC 640. Is this something familiar to either of you?
No.
I've only seen one in person once. It was at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Somebody had this on the shelf for sale, and it's a fascinating looking computer.
Yeah, really neat.
It is. It is. So I forget exactly how. I do have one of these. I haven't done much with it except to turn it on, but it's built in a really interesting way. So I wonder if they have a. Yeah. So if it's closed. There's a handle here. You can't see it so well, but like it's very portable. And then you open it up, and then there's the keyboard.
Oh, I see. Oh, the keyboard flips all the way over and down. Oh.
Yeah, and then it has a screen that sort of folds up. Huh. And it's actually it's I think they have a picture here of it. Oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. Yeah, so. It's actually kind of a nice screen. It's sort of it's got a sort of a green background and then black text.
It's nice that it's working. I feel like machines of this era that had this type of LCD display, that it was a common failure point.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, they have big splotches of color in the middle or whatever where the pixels don't work or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is a neat looking machine. It's got a very like cyberpunk industrial kind of aesthetic to it. Yeah, like nowadays the kids build cyber decks out of like Raspberry Pis and stuff, but this looks like what they're trying to build. Yeah, that's neat.
This one actually comes with a bag too.
So yeah.
That I do not have, and it's pretty cool. Oh, interesting. What is this, Portuguese manual?
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. That's
Um,
yeah. That's it's like as far as the loggable class goes, this is a completely different form factor than any of the other ones that we usually see. It's got two
yeah.
3.5-inch floppies on the end. Is that did I see that right?
Uh, yeah, I think that's right. Can we not see that? Maybe we can't see that.
One of the
But
photos you saw showed it, which is why that's
oh, okay.
where I saw it. Go up, yeah, that one. Yeah, see there, those two floppy drives. Wow, look at
It
that.
does look like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for what year is this machine?
I don't know. I mean, it's a PC compatible.
Is it like 90, 89, 90, something like that?
Okay. Let's just look this up.
Now I made us Google online.
Yeah.
Here we go with the live Wikipedia again.
Amstrad PPC 640. Yeah, I turned mine on. Oh, actually, another thing that it's maybe not shown in this auction, but it has. There's a place where you can put like I don't know 6D batteries.
Amazing.
And use it portably?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
cool. 6D batteries.
Okay, no, sorry, 10C batteries.
Oh no, tens. Wow, that is going to be heavy.
That would only double
Yeah.
its weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So released 1987, at least some version of this. Yeah, I think they actually both came in. Both the PPC 512 and PPC 640 were contemporaneous, but just different configurations. But yeah, 1987.
That's amazing.
Wow.
In the
So
80s.
functionality wise, what this reminds me of is the IBM convertible. Doesn't look anything like it, but do you know the machine I mean that had that flip top and the two 3.5-inch floppy drives kind of in the middle? And to expand it, you would add these TI-99 4A like expanders to the back of it. So it would become like 9 feet long if you added on all of the expanders.
Okay, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this thing is 87. That's a bit earlier than I would have thought. Oh yeah, okay. The PC convertible looks very much like the MacBook, the first Mac portable. Very
Oh, yeah,
similar
yeah.
aesthetic. That's a neat looking machine too. Yeah, it's like someone combined a luggable with a PS2.
I actually owned one of those, and I'm so sorry that I sold it. I'm so sorry I got rid of it
Yeah,
The
it's
because it
convertible.
really is
Yeah.
quirky.
Yeah, that's a nice looking machine. I like that.
Also, kind of looks like a duck.
It does. Well, now I can't unsee that. Thanks, Paul.
Sure, no problem.
It does look like a duck.
Cool. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I because I was sort of moving things around in my office, and I do have this, and so I turned on the Amstrad just to see like does the screen work, and all that, and it is just kind of a neat machine. So
Did it work? Was it still working?
it did, yeah.
Awesome.
So
And I saw there
I'm
on
not sure I tested everything. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I saw there on the Wikipedia page. This is something we haven't talked a lot about on the show, but it also had an option to run off of the cigarette light on your car, 12-volt car
yeah.
power. And there were adapters for that for the 2C like aftermarket and a lot of the luggables as well. Because of course, before lithium batteries, 10 C-size batteries, if you couldn't run off of that, then it was hard to get portable power sources. But a good one that we all had was your car. And so you could maybe not sit on the beach, but you could sit in the beach parking lot in your car and use your luggable that way.
Yeah. And if you needed to smoke, you had to bring your own lighter.
Yeah, exactly. In the 80s, we had one of the first camcorders, one of those ones where the VCR would split in half. And so you had to carry half the VCR with you around. And the camera was the size of like 2 loaves of bread. But yeah, it had an option to plug into the car as well because it used so much power. Yeah. That's a really nice looking machine, though. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so I did notice that. Let's see, where is it? Here. So this is located. It's selling for. Yeah, I guess it's just to buy it now for 160 euros. That doesn't actually sound like very much to me.
That's cheap, yeah. 160 bucks.
It is. it's located in Italy, so I suppose that thing that I accused of being Portuguese might actually be Italian.
Yeah, and
But
it includes the bag and the manuals and everything. That's a good
yeah,
price for that.
yeah,
Huh.
I think it probably is. So yeah, it's unclear what it costs to ship to me in the U.S. But
Yeah, the
if you're somewhere
shipping.
else,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big warning at the top of this that says, due to U.S. customs policies, you may have to pay
Oh.
import fees.
Mm,
Although
yeah.
I think maybe it's quite possible that people in other countries who are who have had longer lived import fees might see the same kind of notification.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, if you're interested, this seems like a pretty nice one. Seems like it's working and doesn't seem super expensive.
Yeah, if you're anywhere in Europe, especially, this seems like a steal. The over here, the shipping would probably be more than $160, but that's a steal for anyone closer.
Okay, what else do I want to talk about? Maybe I will. Is this interesting? I don't know. I saw this at some point. I'm not really suggesting buying this. It's a title that I'd never come across, and maybe that's I don't know if that's surprising or not. But I sort of feel like I've at least passed my eyes over most of the titles that were there in these sort of major series. But this is the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, Adventure International. Uh, like I guess that's I don't know if it's actually a Scott Adams adventure. I think it is. Yeah, Scott Adams and Philip Case. Is this familiar to anyone else?
No, but there's a lot of digits in that price. Is this thing super rare or something?
Well, I'm assuming that is related to the fact that I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, like this was the last in the Adventure International series or something, or
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, so that's part of why I'm not necessarily recommending buying it. Who is it? Who's the seller? Anyway, but anyway, I just thought it was interesting to
So the
come
price
across.
on it for everyone wondering, it's $2,000. So
Oh yeah, right.
this better be incredibly rare for $2,000.
It's actually it looks like it's still sealed. But
Yeah, yeah, it does actually.
yeah.
It's in original packaging. I mean, that might be re-shrink wrapped. People do that, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I can't believe it. Yeah, I can't imagine it's actually worth $2,000.
Yeah, though I mean, well, there's a. It's hard to know what something's worth when you get to something like
Yes,
this.
that's
I
fair.
mean,
Yeah, it's worth what
so
someone will pay for it, I guess. Yeah. So if there's some Scott Adams completionist out there who has to have all the original packaging, this is maybe the only one that has ever been listed.
yeah, yeah. So I did go to Wikipedia to look at the Scott Adams games, and it's not on there.
Oh wow.
So let's see.
Huh. Yeah,
Maybe
it
it's
only goes to
somewhere else.
14 in the list. Wow. Interesting.
Other
So I wonder
games.
if that's either some kind of
Oh, here we
oh,
go.
here we go.
Okay, 14 games later. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's certainly rare, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. But that actually sort of ties in a little bit with one of the other ones I found, which is a Calibeth.
Ah
Is that?
yes.
Oh wait, that's cheaper.
Yeah.
So this is a Calibeth World of Doom 1980. A starting bid. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
So
10. Oh.
okay.
Yeah,
So
we got a bidding war on this one.
starting bid was $900, but
Oh.
but it's actually at this point reached 1225.
Oh, and it looks like it's just two people going back and forth on it. Oh boy, they want it.
Yeah, but so and these are the things like opinions. This is where the opinions like divide in polar ways. So, I mean, it is something special
Yeah.
in a historical sense. It is it's the precursor to it's like Ultima Zero or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
like the precursor to Ultima. I think it's written in BASIC by Lord
Yeah,
British.
it is written in BASIC. Yeah.
So, and it is it's a card and a disc and a baggie.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it
so
is original packaging. Like, yeah, it was a baggy game, but it has the original inserts, and it looks like the original disc. So I mean, yeah, again, if you're a completionist of Lord British stuff, it looks like the nicest one you're going to find. It's all there. It appears to be in perfect condition pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice, but yeah, you'd have to want it pretty bad, $1,200.
Yeah, and I mean, so this is also the point where you really need to know the history. I mean, like,
Yeah,
because Calibeth came in a couple of different versions, and like some are going to be more valuable than others. I don't remember if
right.
California Pacific was always the company that it was sold with, but this let's assuming so, then this is probably one of the first ones. I have something that doesn't look like this and is later and
Yeah,
is not as valuable.
California Pacific was the original distributor that Garriott worked with
Okay.
before he started Origin. So I think the California Pacific stuff is more valuable. And I think like part of for a little while, Ultima One was also distributed by them, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think the CPC stuff is more valuable than the early Origin stuff is.
Yeah.
It's less common, but yeah, I mean the game itself, of course, is nothing special. It's a weird teenagers project, but so you have to want it for the fact of it being a historical artifact that you're going to put on a shelf and admire. It's not something you would buy to play.
Right. Yeah. I think actually there was not so long ago. I think it was that Gary had actually had, like, there was a contest to re-implement it in something else, in some modern way. So I think you might be able to find a modern version of a Calibeth. But
well, it's certainly not hard to emulate. It's easy to run it on emulator if you want to see what it looked like. It's about what you're imagining, a precursor to Ultima written in BASIC. What you're thinking about is that.
yeah.
But it's
Okay.
sold well enough for him to start his own company with the proceeds. So that's notable. Like, in 1980, it didn't take much to impress people at the risk of sounding snide. I mean, I didn't make anything that good in 1980.
Yeah. And anything that I made in that kind of time frame was only sort of like 18% made.
Yeah.
Like maybe I would have had if it were finished, maybe it would have been okay. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is there was a very narrow window at the very early part of personal computing there where you could pretty much just sell anything and someone would buy it. And so yeah, a lot of this real early baggy software is pretty rough.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I don't know if this is where it's, so I'll show this one just because, so this says Vintage Apple Software Bank contributed programs 1 and 2, additional programs, starts at a bid of $9. So that's good. At least it's like not many dollars. It leads me to one other thing that I thought was a little bit strange when I was looking at eBay, like just trying to find stuff. Often I will search eBay for Apple related things. But when I'm doing it for this show, I will try not to do that. And yet it really seems like Apple stuff dominates the eBay listings. Like it's I mean, maybe even more than usual. I don't know where people go if they want to buy like Commodore and Atari stuff or PC stuff. I mean, like, there's just a couple of things scattered in, but it's so much Apple stuff. So I would be sort of interested to know if people are in the other communities. Is there someplace other than eBay that you go?
Well, so I listened to Rob O'Hara's podcasts and Sprite Castle. On Sprite Castle, he always talks about what the games he plays are going for on eBay. So he does get them; they do exist on eBay. I don't know what search terms one would use to find them, but it sounds like there's a healthy marketplace of Commodore games on eBay.
Okay,
but I've never looked for them.
It's possible mostly what I'm looking for, like the category is vintage computing or something like that. So
that word vintage, that might throw you into the higher end Apple snob pool as soon as you put that word vintage on there.
Yeah.
Well, I usually search by category. Like I'll put into eBay just any old retro thing to get me to the category, and then I click on the link for the category and go newly listed. I want to see whatever is newest first, and I start scrolling through, and it when I did that today, it seemed like a decent mix of different things. There were definitely a lot of Apple stuff on there, but I saw some Commodore stuff too, and I don't recall seeing anything Atari on there today. That's true, but I did see a few different
So you
things,
didn't
including
find
that
any Atari
Altos.
today.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I haven't played with the Atari today either.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So the this particular thing, this Apple Software Bank thing. So I find it a little bit interesting, just because, and I know what it is. It is it's a manual that came with cassette tapes that came with the early Apple IIs. So this was it's called Contributed Programs, volumes 1 and 2, and it's stuff that users gave them. They put on cassette tapes and then distributed with this manual. So like you at least had something you could do with your computer when you got it, except play brick out and whatever. But probably the most interesting piece of this is this manual, which is an original thing, and it's maybe not in perfect shape, but it seems to have a little blotch on it. It has a sticker on it that says 2055 contributed prog 1 and 2 250. So they're not even going for that big of a return on investment here, I guess. But it is just the manual. It comes with a couple of discs that are basically just like presumably the programs from the tape on the disc. So so you at least can get them. Somebody typed a label and put it on the disc. And it also comes with another disc that says Street Life, Hardcore Software, MP Inc. And I thought, well, I mean,
That
Run at your own
what
risk.
is that?
yeah, that sounds worth a boot. I want to know what's on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is actually. So before we started recording, I did find it on archive.org, but I didn't get far enough to really sort of see what it was. But it would.
Oh, okay, so it
is
has been
out there.
archived though. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it does seem a little risque.
Yeah, I don't know how good it is, but yeah, at least it's historians can decide at least how good it is.
Yeah. So anyway, if you wanted the manual, $9 plus $7 shipping is probably not so bad. It is an actual old artifact, even if it doesn't have the actual tapes with it. And the disc sleeve also for that thing says something like "millionaire pastimes" with $signs all around it. So,
Yeah, I was wondering what the story on that is. It's a weird little disc envelope action happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's just a sticker. I don't know. It's like it would be funny to know the story of the high school user that had this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also worth noting is that these are all elephant discs, or appear to be original elephant discs, which back in the day, those were like the premium, most high-end floppies. And so that's kind of neat to see original elephant discs.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think that's enough from me on eBay. So now I guess we can turn to closing discussions, and I guess Earl, you are first.
Well, I alluded earlier in the show to some PDP-11 mad science stuff that I was doing. So I have a rack mount PDP-11 card cage enclosure with the power supply and stuff like that. You plug the cards into it and you turn it on. And if you're lucky, it doesn't go up in smoke. And if you're me, it does. So now, as is recommended, I powered it up without any cards in it first to make sure that the power supply was good, and it wasn't. As part of the PDP-11 rescue that I'd done some years back, I'd gotten a bunch of spare parts, and one of them was a card enclosure with the backplane, and that was kind of it. Backplane, a little bit of scaffolding around it. Years ago, I had tried to set up a way to power this with a typical PC power supply. It's a little tricky because there's some special signals that you have to give to the bus at the right timing, or the processor just doesn't wake up. The processor says, my power must not be good, never turns on. So you can use something like an Arduino or another microcontroller sort of thing to send it those signals in the right sequence. I had tried that. It just had never worked, never booted up. But a couple days ago when this power supply went poof on me, I thought, that's it. I'm going to go back and try that old project again. And I did. And this time I actually made it work. So it was fun. And along with that, I made the Arduino listen on the serial port for the commands to turn on the power supply and to halt the processor and stuff like that. And then I wrote a Python GUI program to actually be able to sit at the PC and remote control the power and remote control the run halt state of the computer. And I thought that was all kind of fun. And also I did it with vibe coding, quote unquote. So Google Gemini and I collaborated on that Python program, which was pretty awesome. So all in all, that was just like, one of these weird one-off projects. And now I've got a bunch of strewn just electronic stuff laying on my desk. And I don't know how I'm actually going to take this janky project and turn it into something functional that I want to keep. You never think that through before you do it, right? It's just like you're prototyping and breadboarding, and then all of a sudden it's like, great, it works. What am I going to do now? So I'll probably make an Arduino shield and some sort of screw connector thing to make this a little less fragile and stick it in an enclosure. My buddy likes to do custom woodworking, so maybe we'll make a good old, 1970s era wood enclosure for it. That's one of the things I was up to recently, so I just thought I'd throw it out there, and kind of ties back to the thing we were talking about earlier of old stuff that used to work and then you turn it on and it doesn't work anymore. The closet rot thing and capacitors. And so it's a little disappointing when it smoked because, the old DEC stuff was pretty reliable, but nothing's going to last forever.
Yeah, that's a really cool project. I mean, one thing you could do with it is put all of like if you make an Arduino shield, you can put the code and the Gerber files and everything up on GitHub. And if anybody else has a PDP they need to resuscitate, now that we know this weird thing about them where if the power supply isn't working, they won't boot, which sounds obvious when you say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like it has to have its own special power supply with the serial commands for it to work. And you've created this bridge to a modern ATX supply. That's amazing. So I bet other people would benefit from that.
Well, part of this was inspired by other people's efforts. There's a couple of web pages out there where people had talked about powering the PDP-11 with a power supply that wasn't a DEC original power supply. Yeah. Although the original work on this was pretty primitive. And then when I went out searching a couple days ago, I found out that somebody had taken this to the next level. But I didn't want to try and wire up a custom front panel. I wanted to control it from the PC. So that was kind of my innovation, was having a GUI app on the PC that could actually, fly by wire the PDP stuff. Yeah. So writing that up, that's a good idea, Quinn. I should do that.
Yeah, that's always an answer to what do I do with this now? It's just put the files online and now someone else might benefit from it someday.
Mm-hmm.
You could also maybe put the controls on a web page so that someone, in Australia could turn it on.
Power on the PDP-11 remotely.
There are no flaws in that plan.
That's very cool. Let's see. Okay, so for me, what has happened? So I guess the last time we talked, I think last time we did record it, I was in my old office space, trying to like madly sort stuff in order to move to the new office space, which is much smaller, and so this was a challenge. It mostly actually involved bringing a lot of stuff to storage space at home. But it was kind of neat because I did get to see the things again, and so I have a better idea of what I have, and I've been just sort of going through things. And scanning stuff, my goal is to document and move things out of here. But it's so I'm pleased. I'm in the new space now. I almost fit, So it's not too bad. And so one of the things about the new space, this is like an academic office, and it used to be, our old space was kind of in a, I would say it's like probably a converted living, like a apartment building. I'm not sure that I don't think it was always sort of like offices. So it had thick walls and lots of corridors that went all over the place. And then we moved into a place that was sort of, computer science had moved out and we moved in, and computer science has the kind of offices computer science likes is aquariums.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, that was one thing I was a little bit worried about, was that like everybody would be able to see the mess in my office from very far away. But fortunately, they have added some sort of like frosting to the glass, so it's you just see the outline of the QX10 or whatever up on the shelf. But it's I'm sort of looking forward to actually setting this up in a sort of presentational way, so people can come in and see. Oh, you have a PC, you have Lisa, you have the QX10, and what is this thing? I have a clapper.
Gee, really?
Nice.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
That's cool.
Need a little kiosk with a button that plays the commercial so people know what it is.
Right. And then a little light goes on and off as the commercial plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the 80s equivalent of saying Alexa, do X on people's podcasts.
And you realize you just activated like 50,000 Alexas.
Exactly, yeah.
around
Yeah.
the world.
Alexa, order 50 pounds of cat litter. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that the other thing I actually had written down here, and I failed to actually go look it up, but I came across this somewhere in between our last recordings and this one, and maybe so. It's quite possible that everybody who would benefit from knowing this already has come across it. But if people are familiar with the band Men Without Hats, they are a Canadian band. They are most well known, I think, probably for the song "Safety Dance." You know, so
Yes.
you can
Oh,
dance
yes.
if you want to. That one. Yeah, those in Canada probably hear it as CanCon quite often.
Yes, exactly.
But even outside, we do.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're still around, and they still play. They still play shows, and in fact, I came across a live album not too long ago, where one of the things that I thought was funny about it was the first thing they played was "Safety Dance," because that's the song everybody knows, and then at the end, you know, he said something like, you know, this goes out to all the people who came late, and then they played it again. Which I thought was quite brilliant.
That's funny.
But anyway, they actually fairly recently released a new song, which is called "I Heart the '80s." I love the '80s, and it is just it's just a bunch of references. You know, it sounds exactly like they did back in the day. It's like a perfect song. It could have been released then, so particularly if you are any of the people who are familiar with them, and maybe I shouldn't play too much of this just because we'll just get copyright struck. But at any rate, yeah, maybe go seek that out if that sounds amusing to you, because I found it quite amusing.
I love that video. I don't remember where I saw it. Did you post it in our Discord or you?
Yeah, I think I
somewhere
did
along
mention
the
it
line.
here.
Yeah.
I have not seen that, so I will be watching that post haste.
Yeah, it is amazing how much it's just them still. But yeah. Anyway, so I was pleased to come across that, and I thought I would at least point that out to more of the world. But I mean, I actually listened to them quite a lot back in the actual '80s, so it hit pretty hard. But
It is funny to see the modern life of the one-hit wonder band of the 80s. There's a lot of people like that. Like Cyndi Lauper still tours, or did. I think she passed away recently. But Tiffany still tours. But, you know, same thing. They play like the one song everybody knows, and then they play 3 songs nobody's heard of, and then they play the one song again. And that's enough to fill a stadium or fill a small venue or a medium venue.
Right.
They make a living
State
doing
fair.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's enough to make a living.
Yeah,
I think Cyndi Lauper's still around. We saw her
Okay.
just a while back when she came through town. We
Okay.
actually, yeah. Why did we go for my birthday maybe? Or No, you know what? We went for our 40th anniversary
Okay.
because she had the song "Girls Just Want to Have Fun,"
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
and on the day that I got married, I stayed over at my best man's house, and I woke up that morning and I started walking around the house singing "Earls Just Want to Have Fun," and so
That's pretty good.
yeah, this was like a huge inside joke for us for decades. So we went to go
Mhm.
see Cyndi Lauper in honor of that,
Yeah.
and it was great. The show was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one of her records actually. And yeah, she's actually still quite good. Yeah, sorry, she has not passed away. I misspoke there. Apparently, our commenters say that she announced she was finished touring, so the rumors of her death are greatly exaggerated.
Yeah. All right, Quinn, any closing thoughts?
Only meta retro stuff for me. Similar to Blake had not too long ago, I had a bit of a flooding incident in my basement where my retro room is. I had a window well that wasn't draining properly, and so during a heavy rainstorm, we got some water down there. Not too bad, but it was enough that I had to get some repair work done down there, which meant drywall work, which meant covering up all the retro stuff and trying to keep dust out of it and so on. So everything was out of commission for quite a while, but I've just now gotten it back up and running again, so I'll be able to play with it some more. And to speaking to what you were saying, Paul, if you get all your stuff set up nicely in your office, you will probably find you use it more. That certainly was my experience, where I used to have all my stuff in bins because I didn't have anywhere to put it out. But once I actually set up a desk and put all the machines on a desk, I actually use them a lot more because it's just right there. You can just sit down for 5 minutes and play with them. So that's a nice benefit. But so yeah, hopefully I can get back to doing some more of that, especially now that it's winter. I'm looking for excuses to do inside things. So I'll be maybe playing some Commodore games on my 1541 Ultimate, which is unrelated to the Commodore Ultimate or the Ultimate 64. New names, people. That's it for me, though.
Okay. I did forget one thing. Did we talk? I think this did get referred to at some point, but there was on eBay UK. There was a Sam Coupe auction, which is now ended. But in case anyone wanted either further evidence that it
Proof
exists,
of life.
or
Yeah, proof of life. Yeah.
one thing that's
actually
funny about this. Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I was going to say that there's a logo that's kind of missing. And sorry, I guess we're on some kind of like moon delay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so we can't really prove that it's real because the logo is missing, I guess.
Mhm.
It is kind of neat to see what it looks like. I don't know if I've ever actually seen a picture of one, what it looks like. It's not a bad looking machine.
Oh wait, there's the machine plate though, so it definitely exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like most of these pictures were taken by someone standing on their head or lying down or something.
Yeah, every single one of them is at a weird angle for some reason. There is a picture of it running, though. There's some video there. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now I want one, just because of the sort of attached lore.
That we've created.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we started this game. I think Carrington must have started this, but
I think it was Carrington. Carrington is a Sam Coupe denier.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a small but influential group.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That rose to power in our podcast hosting panel.
I think it was there was somebody had produced a new game, and it was available cross-platform, but one of the platforms that it was available for was the Sam Coupe, and we had never heard of it. And
Okay, yeah.
so yeah, but anyway.
Well, and we did talk about it at one point recently because there was a bunch of software that a bunch of new games were ported or something. But there was a flurry of activity recently, and then it turned out to all be the same guy once we looked at the usernames. So there's like one guy out there who's just single-handedly keeping this machine alive in the retro community, which I respect.
Speaking of that, here we are finishing. But so there's a sort of similar story that I think Jason Scott sometimes tells about the MC10, the TRS-80. I think it's a TRS-80 machine, isn't it? Tandy. the MC10, and there's someone who's very devoted to it and has like a very large archive page there, full of MC10 programs, and so I do have one of these, and as I was going through my office, I was thinking, oops, that's not what I wanted. I just sort of like was pulling things out, trying to figure out like, is this something I want to keep, or whatever. And it's kind of nice. I have the box. I pulled it out of the box. I hooked it up, and I started playing with it, and following the instructions on the manual, and it was really fun. Like I was fully expecting that I was just gonna like take a little video of me playing around with this thing, and then I would just like sell it to somebody or something, but it's really fun. So I don't understand why, but there's something that was just delightful about using it. So now I think I probably am going to keep the thing, just because it is somehow addictive. So I now understand that person that Jason refers to.
It's a cute little
anyway,
thing.
I was surprised by that. Yeah, because I mean the same thing does not happen with a ZX81.
Yeah, that's true. Well, actually, since you said TRS-80, that just reminded me of a retro experience I just had the other day. So I'm rewatching The Walking Dead. I'm doing a rewatch on that whole show. And season 8, 7, or 8, when they meet the garbage people, fans of the show will know what I'm talking about. There's a fight scene in a landfill, basically, and there's just garbage falling all over the place. And like Rick is picking up garbage and killing zombies with it. And one of the things he picks up is a TRS-80 Model 2. And it's so random that the producers threw in this one kind of special, unusual TRS-80 model, and then smashed it. And so I had to Google if I was imagining that. And of course, there's whole Reddit threads devoted to how furious people are that they chose this one extremely like unusual and rare and special retro computer to then smash a zombie with. But it's such a random choice. Like they could have grabbed any of a million Apple IIes or a million Commodores, but for some reason they use a TRS-80 Model 2.
I remember I paused it at that point.
Yeah.
And I went back like, a few frames and I was like, wait, did I just see what I thought I saw?
Yeah, I had the same. Yeah, that's exactly what I did too. I'm like, did they really? Why that one? Like, there's so many old computers they could have used. Just any 90s beige box PC. Like, it's just such a very specific choice that someone on that props department made to use that specific computer. And it's not like they're easy to get either. So they went out of their way to go get one of those. Yeah, there's a story there that I would love to know, like why they went with that specific computer for that scene. But anyway.
Well, if I was going to try and take something out, a computer with, an 8-inch floppy drive might be one of the ones that I would use because those things had heft.
Yeah, it's got some mass, that's for sure. Yeah, you hit someone with a TRS-80 Model 1 or a VIC-20, you're not going to do any damage.
It'd be like, hey, knock that off.
Yeah, plastic garbage.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking, so I have not quite gotten around to watching this yet. So I think I did see something about that when it was happening. But but it does seem like the Model 2, I think, looks quite similar to the 3 and 4, except the 8-inch drives. So maybe that's really what they were going for.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, it looks like an old computer. I guess it has that aesthetic, that very distinctive old computer aesthetic. But maybe that's why they liked it. But yeah, I don't know. It's certainly it was a choice. Like that's not something that happened by accident because you'd have to really go look for one of those. So I would love to know why they made that choice. Who knows?
A pet. They could have used a pet. That could have done some damage.
Yeah, a pet would. Yes. The actor may not have been able to lift a pet. I don't know. There's union
I've
rules.
Had one fall on my toe, and it can.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's just a funny thing to see. It's always interesting when you see retro stuff mix with mainstream media like that. It's like seeing your teacher at the grocery store. It's always a weird sort of clashing of worlds. Your brain has to take a minute and process.
But it's still it's still the case that like a lot of the people who are behind the camera or behind the money or whatever, they kind of grew up with this stuff too. Even if the the actors are younger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are us too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's the same reason, like we talked about, the same reason Slack supports all the IRC shortcuts, because the people working there are us, and they remember that stuff too, and they liked it. So, yep.
All right, perhaps that's good enough. I think we've filled out our 2-hour obligation.
At least.
So that's it for this show. You can find show notes for this and all the RCR. You can find show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can find, I don't know if you can. I was going to say you can find lo-fi episodes and more via Gopher at rcrpodcast.com. But I think we still have the lo-fi episodes off because the robots were draining our bandwidth. But there's still I think the Gopher's still there, but the HTTP episodes are not. So someday we'll get them back, and if I can ever figure out how to host them on a non-encrypted line, like space, without with some way of protecting ourselves against the robots, then that'll happen. Anyway, you can discuss the show in the forums at forum.vcfed.org/something. You can follow RCR on Mastodon. We are at podcasts.social at RCR Podcast. Follow RCR on Blue Sky at rcrpodcast.com. That's probably the place we mostly post. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR Podcast, where I think Michael's watching it. And you can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. And please write a review on iTunes if you wish. And until next time,
Retrocompute. Man, that's amazing. That synchronization was just spot on.
Yep. Yeah, even with the moon lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I do think that somewhere here there's a little bit of lag, so we stepped on each other a bit here and there. But
no worries.
All fixed in post.
Yep, fix it all in post. All right, let's say goodbye to YouTube.
Yep.
Bye, YouTube.
Yep.
Nature
Thanks
is
for
calling.
hanging around. Yep. End stream.
Yeah.